For example, in Socionics we have 4 quadras, alpha, beta, gamma, and delta. While in Psychosophy we have not 16 types, we have 24 of them. And Psychosophy has 24 types, which are divided in 6 tetrades: first, second, third, and etc. So here we have all the 24 types of Psychosophy. And we have tetrades. They are united according to the order of their functions. For example, if we take first tetrade, this tetrade has first physics and first emotions. Only in this tetrade we have such combination. 2 types with first physics and 2 types with first emotion. And they complement each other. Every tetrade has 2 pairs that complement each other according to 4 functions. There are intertype relations in Psychosophy as well in Socionics, and they are very important in everyday communication, in creating families, and so on. They are really important, and Psychosophy is often used for HR and so on, because psychosophic priorities and psychosophic types have very practical implementation in everyday life. For example, we have second tetrade, and here we have 2 types with first logic and 2 types with first emotion. And they also make 2 pairs that complement each other according to 4 functions. So the names of types: we have Aristippus, Goethe, Ghazali, Anderson, from different epochs, from different spheres, but there are many writers, philosophers: Plato, Lao Tzu, Pushkin, Pasternak, both Russian writers. Lenin, political leader. Napoleon as well, political leader. Bukharin, political activist from Soviet Union. Rousseau was a writer from France. Twardowski, Tolstoy, they were Russian writers. Berthier, he was a French military activist as far as I remember. Augustine, he was religious activist. Socrates, Greek philosopher. Akhmatova, Russian poet. Einstein, everybody knows. Pascal, philosopher. Dumas, writer from France. And Chekhov, Russian writer. So we have such nicknames of these types, but you can also use just the abbreviation. These 4 functions are showing what order of functions any person has. So it's very interesting to see the logic in these tetrades and in their combinations. So there is a question: what difference between logic, will, emotion, physics? Logic, emotion, will, physics. In a way, how they show themselves. We're talking about psychosophic type when we look at a person from a side. And if we compare these both types, logic, emotion, will, and physics, it is a Pascal type. He will be much more emotional in his behavior. He has much more energy in emotional expression of himself. While logic, will, emotion, and physics, he will be much more reserved, calm, and even introverted in common sense of this word. The second emotion is the most... those people that have second emotion are the most sociable, emotional, and so on. So that is the difference between them. So every person has one of these 24 types according to Psychosophia. It's quite interesting typology. I got acquainted with Psychosophia 10 years ago. Till that time I was already quite deep in Socionics. I knew everything about Socionics that was known at that time, and Psychosophia turned out to be a very useful and helpful addition to Socionics typing, Socionics studies. How to figure out the third insecure function? Is it possible not to have one? Unfortunately, it's not possible not to have third function. Every person has third function, and every person has its own vulnerable place, vulnerable function. Whether it can be logic, physics, will, emotion, any of them. When we type, for example, a person, we have 4 blocks of questions, four divisions of questions, and person is answering the questions concerning physics, will, emotion, and logic. When we are analyzing his answers, we see necessary traits that are natural for every of 4 functions. And if we take third function, it is the most problematic, most difficult. It is the function that every person to some extent, he tries to hide his vulnerability in this question. His answers become contradictory when he's talking about his third function. Some people are doing quite the opposite thing. They're not hiding their vulnerability, they're showing it as if they're trying to get some help on this third function. So there are different strategies how do people behave about their third functions, but all of them are quite typical. Two main strategies are whether a person is trying to hide his third function or he's showing it and you become ashamed a bit about him when he is showing his third function, if it is not developed one. It depends on the level of development of personality as a whole. So every person has third vulnerable function.